All right, everyone, get ready for a deep dive. We're looking at 5 emerging tech trends, the ones that are really going to shake things up in the
It's
future.
gonna be a wild ride.
Oh, yeah. We've got this awesome blog post from Inventors and New Technology blog.
So it'll take a good one.
Plus, we've got a ton of comments from readers. People have some strong opinions about this stuff.
Yeah, I bet. What trends are we looking at?
Well, the blog lays out 5. Artificial General Intelligence, that's AGI,
Okay.
extended reality, XR for short. Then there's quantum computing,
Woo.
Internet of Bodies, IOB,
Mm.
and last but not least, synthetic biology.
Just reading the list, it feels like, I don't know, like we're peeking into the future.
Definitely. And the crazy thing is how all these trends are like feeding off each other,
Yeah.
influencing each other, pushing each other forward. It's not just isolated stuff anymore. It's this big convergence of forces shaping what's next. Totally. Let's kick things off with AGI. The blog calls it the holy grail of AI. We're talking about machines that can think like us, learn, solve problems, tackle any intellectual task that humans can. It's mind-blowing.
It is. But we got to be real. We're not there yet. Those large language models, they're bringing us closer. Think about healthcare, for example. AGI could analyze mountains of data to diagnose diseases super early and personalize treatments.
Oh, that reminds me. One commenter, Everly Murphy, mentioned TSMC's take on AGI. They think it could lead to these huge medical breakthroughs. But Everly also brought up, that question, are we heading towards utopia or a total dystopian nightmare? Machines could potentially outsmart us.
That's the big question, isn't it? It really highlights how crucial it is to think carefully as AGI keeps developing. We need safeguards, ethical guidelines. Got to make sure these systems stay under our control, aligned with what we believe in.
Makes you think, for sure. I mean, picture a world where AGI could perform complex surgeries, invent life-saving drugs, even personalize education for every student. The possibilities are massive, but so are the risks.
Absolutely. And that's exactly why these conversations are so important now, before it's too late, before these technologies get so advanced we can't control them. We need to be proactive, not scrambling to catch up.
So true. Hey, listeners, let's make this real for you. Imagine AGI transforming your own industry. Think about it. Would it automate your job, create new roles, force you to face ethical dilemmas? It's something we all need to be thinking about.
Couldn't agree more. This isn't just a tech evolution, it's a societal shift. And how we decide to integrate AGI will totally reshape work, the economy, even our understanding of what it means to be human.
Right. Okay, let's shift gears a bit, get into something a bit more visual, more immersive. Extended reality, or XR as the cool kids call it. We're talking about VR, AR, and MR, all those mind-bending technologies that blur the lines between the real world and the digital one.
The blog had some really cool examples of how XR could, change our everyday lives. Imagine trying on clothes virtually. You see how they fit, how they look on you, all without leaving your house. Or attending a meeting where you feel like you're actually in the same room with colleagues, even if they're across the world.
And education. Forget boring textbooks. Students could go on virtual field trips to ancient Rome, dissect a human heart in 3D. It could revolutionize how we learn.
And it goes beyond fun and convenience, too. In healthcare, XR could let surgeons practice complex procedures in a safe virtual environment before operating on a real person. The potential is huge.
Absolutely. There was this comment from Melissa. She pointed out that while Ryan in the comments was all gung-ho about XR, she was a bit more cautious. She was worried about social isolation, maybe even addiction, and job displacement. With all these realities merging, some jobs might become obsolete.
She raises a good point. It's so important to consider the downsides of any new tech. As immersive and engaging as XR can be, we need to remember to keep those real-world connections strong.
Yeah, finding that balance is key. Enjoying the power of XR while staying connected, protecting well-being.
It's a real double-edged sword.
Yeah.
That immersive nature of XR, that's what makes it so cool. But it could also backfire if we're not careful.
Totally. So, listeners, let's flip the script and make this personal. How do you picture XR affecting your work, your downtime? Do you see it as a tool for connection and creativity or a potential trap leading to isolation, distraction? And what about Melissa's concerns about jobs disappearing? Lots to think about as we step into this new world of mixed realities.
What I find fascinating is that XR isn't just one thing. It's this whole spectrum of experiences, and how we choose to develop those experiences, that'll determine whether XR turns out to be a force for good or, well, something else entirely.
Good point. Okay, get ready for something that sounds like it's straight out of a sci-fi flick. Quantum computing. This one is mind-blowing, literally.
Yeah, it's not magic, but It kind of feels like it. Basically, quantum computers tap into these crazy principles of quantum mechanics to do calculations so fast they make even most powerful supercomputers look like, those old school calculators.
The blog did a decent job explaining the basics, but I gotta admit, I feel like I need a quantum mechanics 101 class to fully grasp this. It's complicated, but the potential uses are what make it so exciting.
Totally. Imagine a world where we develop life-saving drugs in a fraction of the time it takes now, or create encryption methods that are basically unbreakable, or model super complex systems like climate change with incredible accuracy. Quantum computing could solve some of humanity's toughest problems.
And that's just scratching the surface. The blog talked about applications in materials science, financial modeling, even boosting AI capabilities. It seems like there's no limit to what these things can do.
The potential is huge, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. We're still early in the game. Building these quantum computers, scaling them up, that's a monumental task. It'll take huge investments, specialized knowledge, and global cooperation.
It's like, I don't know, trying to build a spaceship with technology that hasn't even been invented yet. The challenges are massive, but so are the potential rewards.
It's a high-stakes race to unlock the power of the quantum world. And whoever wins won't just have tech superiority, they'll have the power to reshape industries, maybe even the global power balance.
So for our listeners thinking about investing in quantum computing startups, hold your horses. The blog made it clear that practical, large-scale quantum computers are still a long way off. It's not happening tomorrow.
It's a marathon for sure. But the progress so far is amazing. We're seeing breakthroughs with qubits, error correction, quantum algorithms. It's a field that's constantly evolving, and honestly, everyone should be paying attention, even if you're not a scientist or a techie.
Definitely. This goes beyond the tech itself. It's about how it will change our lives. So, listeners, think about the industries you care about. How could quantum computing disrupt them? Would it create new opportunities or cause new problems? Big questions to think about as we enter this quantum revolution.
And it goes beyond just industries. Quantum computing could impact everything from national security to healthcare to how we understand the universe itself. It's a game changer, no doubt about it.
All right, let's move on to something a bit more personal, more intimate even. The Internet of Bodies, or IOB. It's all about integrating tech directly into our bodies. Sensors, implants, wearables, basically turning ourselves into walking, talking networks.
Think of it as the next step in wearable tech. We've got smartwatches, fitness trackers, but IOB takes it further. Embedding tech under our skin, even inside our organs. Sounds like sci-fi, but it's becoming reality.
The blog had some awesome examples, like imagine doctors getting real-time data about your vital signs, blood sugar, even your heart's electrical activity. They could intervene early, personalize your treatment.
It could change healthcare completely. Continuous monitoring, early detection of problems, more targeted treatments. Imagine chronic diseases like diabetes or heart disease being managed so much better.
And prosthetics. The blog talked about advanced ones that respond to your thoughts. It's like the line between human and machine is blurring. We could be approaching a future where disabilities are overcome by tech that's seamlessly integrated with our bodies.
It's not just about restoring function either. IOB could boost our existing abilities, give us superhuman strength, enhanced senses, even the ability to mentally connect with computers. The possibilities are both exhilarating and a bit scary.
And that's where the ethics come in. With IOB, we're talking about a level of integration that raises some serious questions about privacy, our autonomy, even our sense of self. How much control are we willing to give up over our own bodies? Where do we draw the line?
It's complicated, no easy answers. IOB has the potential to transform healthcare, make our lives better, push the boundaries of human potential. But we got to be aware of the potential for misuse, data breaches, the erosion of privacy in a world where our bodies are constantly generating and sharing sensitive info.
It's kind of like opening Pandora's box. Once we start putting tech into our bodies, there's no going back. We need to tread carefully, have open and honest conversations about the ethical side of IOB before it's too late to make changes.
I agree. It's not about rejecting the technology. It's about being smart, deliberate in how we develop it and use it. We need to make sure IOB benefits humanity, not just causes problems.
Absolutely. So, listeners, time for some self-reflection. Think about your comfort level with IOB. Would you be okay with implants or sensors that could improve your health or give you new abilities? What are your hopes and fears? This conversation about the blurring lines between human and machine, it's one we all need to be part of.
It's a conversation that goes beyond just us as individuals.
Yeah.
We need to think about how IOB will affect society as a whole. our relationships, our communities, our sense of what it means to be human. These are big questions that'll only get more pressing as IoB tech keeps advancing.
Okay, ready for our final trend. This one's all about messing with the building blocks of life itself. Synthetic biology. Think genetic engineering on steroids. We're not just tweaking existing organisms, we're designing and building entirely new biological systems from scratch.
The possibilities are crazy. Imagine engineered microbes that churn out clean energy, new treatments that target cancer cells with pinpoint accuracy, even bio-based materials that are stronger and more sustainable than anything we can make with traditional manufacturing. It's like rewriting the rules of life itself.
Right. The blog mentioned things like bacteria that can break down plastic waste and algae that produce biofuels. It sounds like something out of a sci-fi novel, but it's happening right now in labs all over the world.
And the pace of innovation is mind-blowing. We're seeing new tools and techniques that make it easier and faster to design, build, and test these synthetic biological systems. It's a field ripe for disruption, with the potential to change everything from medicine and agriculture to how we make things.
But, and this is a big but, with great power comes great responsibility. The blog also highlighted some serious ethical concerns about synthetic biology, particularly the potential for, well, unintended consequences. We're messing with life itself, and we got to make sure we're not creating more problems than we're solving.
It's a valid concern. We have to be aware of the potential for things to go wrong. What if these engineered organisms get released into the environment? Could they cause ecological havoc or even threaten human health? We need to be incredibly careful.
It's like playing with fire. It can keep us warm, but it can also burn us. It's our responsibility to use it wisely.
Totally. Synthetic biology is a powerful tool. But like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad. It's up to us to decide how we want to use it.
So listeners, let's take a moment to consider the ethical side of designing life. What are your thoughts on the potential benefits and risks of synthetic biology? Do the potential solutions to global crises outweigh the unknowns we might unleash? These are big questions we need to grapple with as we enter this new era of biological manipulation.
It's a question that gets to the heart of what it means to be human. In a world where we're increasingly able to control and manipulate the very building blocks of life. It's a conversation we need to have as a society, and it'll shape how we relate to the natural world in the future. It's crazy, right? We've gone from sci-fi dreams to actual reality in such a short time. These technologies are becoming part of our lives.
It's not just the tech itself, though. It's the huge impact it'll have on us, on society, on the whole planet. We're not talking small changes here. This is a fundamental shift in how we live, work, interact with everything around us.
You know, that blog post had some really sharp comments from readers. One that stuck with me was from Melissa. She brought up Lando Norris, breaking records in Formula One.
Yeah, he's amazing.
And then she asked this really thought-provoking question. What happens when self-driving cars are everywhere? Will we even need human drivers anymore? How will that change things?
It's a great point. We get so excited about new tech, we forget to think about what might happen because of it, the good and the bad. Melissa's comment is a perfect example. We got to think critically about the long-term impact of all this.
It's not just the tech in isolation, it's those ripple effects,
Mm-hmm.
unintended consequences, how these advancements clash or mesh with our social, economic, even political systems.
Uh-huh.
We can't assume progress equals a better future automatically. We have to shape that future, make sure these technologies are used in a way that benefits everyone.
It's like we're at a fork in the road. We could create a future where tech solves our biggest problems, makes life better, builds a more fair and sustainable world. But there's also the risk that these technologies could make things worse, Increase inequality, give too much power to a few, or lead to consequences we never saw coming.
That's why it's so crucial to have these discussions now while things are still developing. We need honest conversations about the ethics, the potential risks, how to ensure these advancements are used for good.
And it can't just be experts and politicians having these talks. It has to be all of us. We need people who understand, who are engaged, who are willing to ask the hard questions about the future we're building.
It's easy to get caught up in the hype, but we have to remember tech is a tool, and any tool can be used in the wrong way. It's our choice how we use this power.
Let's take IOB, for instance. Remote patient monitoring, enhanced prosthetics, those are fantastic. But what if that personal health data gets into the wrong hands? What if this tech is used for surveillance or to control people?
Those are important questions. We need strong privacy laws, ethical guidelines, public awareness to make sure IOB is used responsibly, ethically. We can't just assume good intentions. We have to actively shape the rules and systems that guide how this tech is developed and used.
And with synthetic biology, the ethical questions are even more complicated. We're talking about engineering life, creating organisms that have never existed before. What happens if they get out into the environment? Could we accidentally mess up ecosystems or even harm people?
It's like opening a Pandora's box. We have to be extremely careful. We need solid scientific research, thorough risk assessments, global cooperation to ensure synthetic biology is developed and used safely and responsibly.
What makes this whole conversation so interesting and kind of scary is that we're in uncharted territory. These technologies are so new, so powerful, we're basically making up the rules as we go along.
It's both exciting and terrifying, right? We have the chance to shape the future, to make a world that's more just, more sustainable, more fulfilling for everyone. But we also have a responsibility to avoid a dystopian future where technology controls us, instead of the other way around.
It's a delicate balance. It requires us to be alert, to think critically, to have open and honest conversations. We can't just let the future happen, we have to actively create it.
And that's where our listeners come in. This isn't just for experts and politicians. Everyone needs to be part of this. We need informed citizens who are ready to ask the tough questions, challenge what they're told, and have thoughtful debates about the future we're building.
Exactly. The future isn't set in stone. We create it together. The choices we make now will determine the world we leave for future generations.
So what does this mean for you listening? It means staying informed, staying involved, and staying curious. Keep learning about these new technologies, read articles, books, listen to podcasts like this one, and talk to people who have different viewpoints. The more you know, the better choices you can make about the future you want.
And don't be afraid to speak up. Question everything. Think critically about the potential consequences of these technologies and be an advocate for responsible innovation. The future doesn't just happen to us. We create it through our choices and actions.
And remember, the future isn't a finish line. It's a journey we're all on together. And by working together, talking to each other, and approaching these advancements with both excitement and caution, we can build a future that truly reflects our hopes and dreams.
I love that. It's not about being scared of the future. It's about being excited about the possibilities while staying aware of the potential problems. It's about realizing we all have a responsibility to make sure these technologies benefit everyone, not just a select few.
And it all comes back to remembering that technology is a tool. Like any tool, it can be used for good or bad. We decide how we use it.
All right, we've covered a lot in this deep dive, from the mind-bending world of quantum computing to the ethical challenges of synthetic biology. It's clear these technologies have the potential to completely change our world, and it's clear we need to be having these conversations now before it's too late.
Absolutely. We have to think critically, ask tough questions, and have open discussions to ensure that these technologies are developed and used in a way that benefits all of humanity.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, let's turn it back to you listening. What really resonated with you from our conversation? What are your hopes and fears about the future? And what role do you want to play in shaping it?
It's time for all of us to get involved in this technological revolution. The future is literally in our hands.
It's wild to think just a few decades back, all this tech was pure science fiction. Now it's practically knocking on our door, about to become part of everyday life.
And who knows what's coming next? Things are changing so fast. It's hard to imagine what breakthroughs are just around the corner.
That's what I find so fascinating and honestly a bit overwhelming about all this.
Yeah.
We're in this whirlwind of tech change, and it's tough to say for sure where it's all headed.
One thing's for certain, the choices we make now, they'll shape everything. We have the power to steer these technologies, make sure they benefit all of us.
And as we wrap up our deep dive, I keep coming back to this one question. What does it even mean to be human in a world that's increasingly shaped by all this tech?
That's a big one. And honestly, I don't think anyone has a real answer yet. But it's something we need to be thinking about as we move forward into this unknown territory.
Think about AGI. Will it change how we define intelligence? And XR, will it blur the lines between what's real and what's simulated so much that we can't tell the difference anymore? What about IOB? Will it change our relationship with our own bodies so much that it alters who we are at our core?
It's like we're on the edge of a new renaissance, a massive shift in thought and culture, all driven by these technologies. And just like the original Renaissance challenged everything people thought about art, science, what it meant to be human, this tech revolution has the potential to do the same thing.
We're not talking about fancy gadgets or the latest app. This is about technologies that could completely change what it means to be human. That's exciting, but kind of scary too, right?
It's a time of huge opportunity and huge responsibility. We have the power to shape these technologies, make sure they benefit everyone, but we can't lose sight of our values, our ethics, our basic humanity along the way.
It's like we're explorers stepping onto a new continent and we get to decide what kind of world we build there. It's a big responsibility, but also incredibly exciting.
And we can't do it alone. We need to keep talking about all this, sharing ideas, challenging each other, and working together to create a future that actually reflects our hopes and dreams.
So, as we finish up our deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with this. Don't just take in this information passively, really think about it, talk about it with others, and most importantly, do something with it. The future isn't something that just happens, we build it.
And remember, the future isn't a fixed point, it's a journey, and we're all on it together. By working together, having open conversations, approaching these advancements with both excitement and caution, we can build a future that's truly worthy of our hopes and dreams.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the future. Keep exploring, keep asking those tough questions, and keep shaping the world you want to live in. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.